I look at it as a source of your soul's evolution. So if you access the Akashic to try to understand where does my soul naturally want to evolve, to me, it's one of the most powerful places you can go for that.
Wow. Okay. And then this is how I was described it when
Yeah.
I first learned about it.
Yeah.
Is it's like literally taking yourself, you go into this, deep realm within yourself, and it's like literally zooming up to this grand library. And then you can, with your intention, you're asking about your soul path or whatever that thing is, you literally will pick a book, like a library, like you're in a library, and that book will tell you your answer based off your question. Is that true?
So that's definitely part of it. And I would say that it goes even beyond that. So like when I first learned about the Akashic, that's how I sort of viewed it. I would like look for a book and I would find an answer. Now I feel like I'm always in it.
Welcome to the Danette May Show. And I have Rita, who's an Akashic reader and also a spiritual guide teacher. I'm excited to have her on because we're going to be diving into what is the Akashic anyway, and is it something that you can trust or believe in, and how does it even work? So let's dive right in. Welcome to the Danette May Show, where you'll receive profound breakthroughs, courage to break old patterns, and live into your soul's purpose. Each week, I will bring you epic guests and live coaching to remind you of your power. You have the ability to achieve extraordinary things, and the time to start is now. All right, we wanted to set our intentions with everybody listening. Sometimes when we come on these podcasts, like we will do something together as the host and as the guest coming on, but I shared with you that I was like, let's bring the listener in because I want everyone to be involved in this intention, to this conversation. Obviously, listeners taking time to listen to us. And I want to ask the listener, what's your intention for taking time to talk to me and Rita? Like, why are you listening to this episode? Was it something that caught your attention with the title? Was it something that you're really seeking when it comes to these other realms? What is that intention? And then I'm going to ask you, and then I'll tell you why I invited you on, but why did you come and what's your intention?
Oh, beautiful. And I love that we're inviting the listeners into their intention. And my intention is to listen to my heart, and my heart said yes. And that's the intention of every day of my life lately. And that's also what, if the listener's having a hard time finding their own intention, that's sometimes a good place to start. What is your heart saying yes to? And why is it saying yes to that? And that's really why I'm here. My heart said yes.
Wow. Awesome. I love that. So just so you know, and the listeners, obviously having a show, we get, I can't even tell you how many requests a day to be on this show. And I made an agreement with Spirit when I decided to do the Danette May Show, which was manifestable at the beginning. I said, my intention was always to just expand within myself. But I was like, I want you to bring the people to me. I want you to show me who I'm meant to talk to. It might not be someone I know. It might not be someone I even agree with. It might not even be a concept that I'm familiar with. But I will know because something will come over me. So what has happened is, and I'm trying to figure out how I even knew about you, but what will happen is I'll do a soul time in the morning. I'll do this whole soul time. And then I go, okay, Spirit, show me. And then I open my phone and I'll open up sometimes it's like a social app, or I'll open up an email, or I'll open up something and I'll fill into a name and a concept, or I'll see an image of someone. I think now that I'm remembering, I saw your face. I don't know how. I think it had to have been on social, felt a resonance. I literally will copy your Instagram or where I saw it, send it to my assistant and say, reach out.
Wow.
Ask them to be on the show, and I'll find out later why.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how I operate when it comes to the Danette May Show. Now everybody knows. So my intention is to discover why I felt called to have you on the show.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Spirit, for connecting us.
Yeah.
I operate the exact same way. I don't have that exact system, but I'm very similar, where I'm just like, all right, there's 24 hours. Show me what it is. And then that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Wherever it lands, that's it.
And I trust the people that don't respond back, and the ones that reach out, typically we don't invite on the show. It's just not, it hasn't, maybe there's been one or two out of all the ones that reach out every day that I've ever said yes to. So I don't know. I think it's an energetic thing. But one thing I do know, and the thing that you are specialized in, is really accessing the Akashic Records. Now, I've been fascinated with the Akashic Records. I have taken people in healing journeys into the Akashic, but I wouldn't say I'm a trained person or that's what I do.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to ask you a little bit about this process because we're entering into a new realms. Everyone can agree.
Yeah.
And I believe having these skill sets
Yeah.
are going to really be the advantage that, maybe money was the advantage, 10 years ago. I believe intuition and being able to access these realms will be the advantage moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm on the same wavelength with you where like intuition is the new way forward. And there's a million reasons we could talk about why. When you have a good intuition, your money will flow more easily. When you have a good intuition, your business flows more easily. You're able to pick a doctor, a lawyer, you know who to work with, you know who not to work with. So in what way could it not benefit you?
Yeah.
And so I think my big focus with the Akashic is making it accessible to everyone. So it sounds like this kind of scary term. Like when I first heard it, I was like, I have no idea what that is. And I'm half Indian, which in Akashic, it's pretty big in India, but I had never heard about it.
Interesting.
So even when I heard about it, I was like, I don't know about that. But the way I was first introduced to it was I had just been fired from a job. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life now? So I found...
How old were you when this happened?
I was 20, I think I was 28.
Okay.
Yeah, 28.
Okay.
So 5 years ago. Yeah, 28. Yeah, 28.
Okay, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
All right.
And I didn't know what I would do after the job. I got fired from it. So I booked a reading with a woman who I didn't know it was an Akashic record reading. And in that reading, she said, you're meant to be reading the records. That's your soul path. And I thought, I don't even know what this is. I don't think that's it. And she's like, no, like that's your soul path. You're going to be doing that professionally. Like in 5 years, that'll be your path. And so she's like, just try it. And then if it doesn't work, call me. I tried it that day and it worked. And then ever since then, I've done it every day.
Wow. For yourself? For
myself. But that same week, I started reading for others the exact same week. And that also worked. It was like, because the Akashic is for me, it's your soul connection. It's your soul wisdom. It's your soul voice. So as soon as I tried to connect to it, it felt natural. And then I just started to just experiment with it. I figured if this is the record of everything, and for anyone listening who's maybe not familiar with what the Akashic is.
I think we should probably go there. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to Google the Akashic, it would say it's the record of everything.
That's not what they would say. Akashic record of everything.
Record of everything. And you'd be like, okay, does that really
sounds
exist?
Really grandiose.
Yeah. And the way I describe it is like, it's the Google of everything, right? So like, ideally you could type in a message and it would give you an output. But the way it searches the output is based on your intention. And it's also based on who you are and what you're going through. So it's going to filter results based on basically your intention. So we would think, oh, everyone's getting the same result. No, it's more about where you are in your journey and why you're asking questions to the Akashic.
Okay.
So I think of the Akashic as your direct soul connection. So when you connect to it, it's for your soul's evolution. A lot of people look at it like, I'm just here to know information, like who am I going to marry? Who's going to be our next president? Like they look at it as a source of information. I look at it as a source of your soul's evolution. So if you access the Akashic to try to understand where does my soul naturally want to evolve, to me, it's one of the most powerful places you can go for that.
Wow. Okay. And then this is how I was described it when I first learned about it.
Yeah.
It's like literally taking yourself, you go into this, deep realm within yourself, and it's like literally zooming up to this grand library. And then you can, with your intention, you're asking about your soul path or whatever that thing is, you literally will pick a book, like a library, like you're in a library, and that book will tell you your answer based off your question. Is that true?
So that's definitely part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that it goes even beyond that. So like when I first learned about the Akashic, that's how I sort of viewed it. I would like look for a book and I would find an answer. Now I feel like I'm always in it. So there's
always in the book.
Always in it. There's no separation. Like as I'm talking, I'm able to feel, am I on track? Am I off track? Like it's more this kind of flow of but I believe like we're meant to almost be
in
like
that realm.
I don't think there's even a separation. I think that once you become conscious of it, you just feel it all the time.
Wow.
You know, so a lot of the time we could call it intuition, but to me, it just feels like a different frequency that you're living from. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say I'm always in it. Like, definitely there's moments I'm way more unconscious. Like, you know, I'm not trying to be, but like in this moment, I can feel like the Akashic around me.
You can feel it because you're like, I've been setting my intention. I drove here. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing, setting myself up for so I can feel it around me.
Yes, yes. And like in session with the client, for example, I wouldn't be looking at a book. I'd be feeling where's the energy naturally wanting to go once we've opened their records.
Once you've opened it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's a good question. So now you're like with a client. You can't read that client until you guys have both agreed to open it together. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there's a few stipulations there. So the way I read the records, have you ever heard of something called the Oversoul?
Yes. So explain what you mean by the Oversoul, though, for those listening.
So Ralph Waldo Emerson, he coined that term Oversoul, from my understanding, and it means the all-containing soul. So if you imagine above your body, like around this height, it's not your higher self, but you have something up here called the Oversoul.
Which is about 10 feet above your head?
Yeah, approximately, yes.
Yeah.
So some people have different names for it, but my understanding is it's the Oversoul. When you intentionally connect to it, you can kind of feel like, I don't know, in this moment, if you try to just think of connecting to it, do you feel anything?
Yeah, I mean, you know what it feels kind of like a cloak or light streaming around or something like that for me.
Yes, yeah. Same. Like it feels different. Like you can feel there's something there that you're connecting to. So we're all connected through that. So for example, the Oversoul is where all past lives live. So not like your past lives, not my past lives, like everyone's past lives. While we're all connected to it, if I was going to read for someone, I would ask my Oversoul, is it for the highest good for me to read for them? And I would get either a yes or a no.
Okay.
And then I would ask their Oversoul, is it for my highest good for me to read for that person? And I'd get a yes or a no. So as long as you're asking Oversoul to Oversoul, you'll kind of, if you get a yes from both, immediately the connection starts where you start getting information.
Wow.
And that's even before you open the Akashic. You do it through the Oversoul.
That is really cool. So you start there first before you even access a higher dimension. Can you explain these dimensions a little bit? So now you just said, okay, you're kind of so you're probably walking with your Oversoul a lot. Like you're very connected to your Oversoul, yes. Which you're saying is kind of up here and it connects to everyone's Oversoul.
Yes.
And then what's beyond that? If we're like, because people are very visual.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious.
I think there's nothing I'm sure there is. I don't want to ever limit reality, right? Because who knows? Yeah. But for me, that feels like the place my soul just needs to go. That's it.
That's it. Not beyond there.
Not beyond there. Because the reason being is like one thing we'll do in the Akashic a lot is past lives. They'll come up. But when you look at it through the Oversoul perspective, the past life doesn't belong to the person. It's simply an experience they're having. So, for example, a lot of the times clients will come and they will have had this exact same past life, the exact same one. And, you know, you're like, how do we explain that? How are they all having
the very same
past life, the very same experience? They're like in that moment. They're like, no, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm getting. That's through the Oversoul.
Okay, because they're connecting to everyone's Oversoul.
Yes. And then they are needing to have that experience to clear whatever blockage is coming up for them.
And that's why it's important to take someone to a past life, because it's affecting potentially this life you're seeing right now and feeling right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Like either a forgotten gift, or like you may have left something in the past that you're trying to reclaim, or something got promised in the past that's no longer benefiting you.
Wow. I love how you said that the past life is not you, it's just an experience.
Yes.
Which I think is important, because I think we take these identities and then we try to make it make meaning when we're not really these identities, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I've heard you speak about that a lot. And when I was listening to your podcast, which I love, like as an example, I once had a client, which I do think detaching from almost like the ego of like, this was my past life is important, because otherwise people can cling to like, oh, well, I was Mary Magdalene. You know, it's like, does that serve you to keep holding that story? Where is that coming from, clinging to that?
I was Mary Magdalene. Yeah.
You were?
No, I'm saying I can see.
Yeah.
I just saw this human being like, I'm Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and you're like, wait, but what is it serving you to claim that story?
yes.
Yeah.
And the experience was 100% real, but holding on to it, does it serve you anymore? You know? And the other benefit too, to just seeing it as experiences is that I had a client one time, which this taught me a lot. This is when I first started doing this. She came to me and she says, I'm deathly afraid of the dark, like deathly afraid. I have to sleep with a nightlight. I don't know where this came from. So we did, a past life came up and she felt safe throughout the whole thing. I was like, do you feel scared? She's like, no, I don't feel scared. The past life got let go of. And, you know,
was
like,
it around something with the dark? Something
with the dark, yes.
Okay.
But the interesting thing was she was so calm during it. I'm like, if she was this terrified in real life, you know, you wouldn't have known. The session ended, it seemed normal, and then we didn't talk after that for a while until she sent me an email a few months later, and she goes, you're not going to believe this, but I forgot that I was afraid of the dark. I forgot. And I didn't remember till my family was visiting me, and none of my night lights were on. Nothing was on. And they were like, are you okay? And she's like, why would I not be okay? And they're like, you've completely changed. And she said, I forgot I even had that fear.
Wow, that's powerful.
So that's the benefit of like just looking at past lives as what's stuck in the field within the Akashic and what's ready to release.
That's so interesting because there's so many realms of healing, right?
Yes.
And it almost feels a little like hypnotherapy to me. Like if someone came to you and was like, hey, I have this like paranoia or this phobia or this fear, and then they like leave a session and they're like, I forgot I even had that fear. They can't even like articulate. It's not like they're walking around, I used to be afraid of the dark, but now I'm not.
Yeah.
It's like literally gone from the energetic field completely.
Completely, yeah. I mean, I've never done hypnosis. They don't have to say or do anything in this, like, all they have to say is, do you want to let it go? And all they have to say is yes.
That's it.
That's it.
It's that simple.
We ask the soul. So I have them check in, ask your soul, is this right? Double check. They'll say yes. I'll be like, you don't have to do it today if you don't want to. They'll be like, no, I want to. And then I'll say, is it a yes? And then they'll say yes, and then it's gone.
That is, wow. This is revolutionary. And I know there's going to be listeners going, yeah, I feel this in my body to be true. And there'll be listeners that'll be like, come on, it can't be that easy.
Yeah.
Like if someone has something that they've been dealing with for years and you're telling me they come into a session and then they have to agree and then it's gone. But you've seen this time and time again.
Yes. So of course, with like anything, who knows what her journey was up to that point? That might have just been the one day where like, you know, things happened. So I don't want to say like there's only one way. I never believe that.
Okay.
But I have seen time and time again where if your soul is saying yes, it's ready. And in the Akashic, with the way at least I've kind of been working with the Akashic, you say a prayer at the beginning and the prayer says only what is for my highest good and what will help my soul evolve. So if something's coming up, you can trust that it's coming up for a reason. A random thing wouldn't come up that wasn't ready to be worked with. Mm-hmm. I've never experienced that, not one time.
Yeah.
They might ask about it, and then I'll say, can you check in? Is it really the time for that? And they'll be like, oh, no, I'm getting a no. Like it was more my ego wanted to know about that.
Wow.
So it's really just talking to the soul. And if the soul says yes, in my experience, crazy things start to happen.
That is really cool. How long does it take for someone to drop into their Oversoul?
Instant.
It's instant.
You did it right there, right? When you just were like, oh, I can feel this.
That's true.
So it's just about getting used to it and like being like, how does it want to work with me? How does it work? And like, oh, I've always been connected to this, but now I'm just consciously connecting. Does that feel different? Or yeah, what am I learning from it? So for me, like for anyone listening, if you want to practice, I just like imagine my energy going up to it. And then I'll feel like just different things like sparkles or I don't know, like clouds sometimes. And I'll just ask it for a word and I'll just say, what do I need to embody? And it'll always give me a word and I can feel it like come down.
oh, you'll ask, what do I need to embody? And a word will pop in your mind, or it'll be, maybe you'll see it or you'll feel it.
Yeah.
And it'll come through.
Yeah. And same thing when you're working with other people, you can ask that. What's the main thing their soul is asking them to embody or is asking them to expand into?
Is it a normal, let me ask this, for like, let's just say, I'm always trying to serve the listener listening.
Yeah.
Someone, is it normal to be a little afraid to go into Akashic reading?
Totally. I was afraid.
What were you afraid? Share vulnerably, like, why were you initially when you went there first?
Well, my personal fear was they're going to tell me something bad about myself that I'm not ready to face, or they're going to see something in me that I can't face about myself.
Whoa.
So that was for me it. The other thing was there was sort of this fear of like, I just had a feeling like I was going to be told bad things. Even if they were good, somehow I felt like they would be bad. So that was my fear. And so I just always normalize it. Like anytime you do something that you've never done before, it can be a little scary. But you just always want to ask the soul again. I always come back to that. If the soul says yes, the experience won't be scary. If the soul says no, I would wait till it says yes.
Okay.
You know,
just always checking in.
Always checking in, always double checking, confirming. Because if you're in alignment with your soul, the experience it'll feel that way.
All right, that's amazing. Can we do something for people listening? Because I think there are listeners right now who feel like, yeah, that might be for you guys that you can feel that, but I don't know if I'll feel that. I'm not like, I can't feel things very easily. So can we just take them through something really quick of connecting to that part of themselves? So like, I know you just did it with me and we did it quick, but I'm feeling a woman. She's in her car and she's wondering if it's possible for her.
Yeah. Well, I would say the first thought to knowing it's possible is wondering if it's possible, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't even think it was slightly possible or remotely possible for you. And so
you wouldn't be listening to this.
You wouldn't be listening. So there's a part of you, and the part, like PART, parts are so important to understand that we all have parts that do feel scared, but what part of you right now is still here listening? That's the part of you I would invite you just to, for a moment, maybe relax into in your body and just ask, what are you seeking and what are you looking for? Giving yourself just a moment to connect to that. And a really powerful word is permission. Can you give yourself permission to navigate something that feels unknown and know that you can stop at any moment if you don't like how it feels? Sometimes when we're talking about these big terms, they feel a little bit out there. So it might feel better to just bring your awareness to your heart and ask your heart, what does it want for you? And if you can hear what your heart wants, if you get a yes, you can then try to just send your energy up and ask for one word. If you don't get a word, try again tomorrow. The key is you can't do this incorrectly. If you're trying, one day it'll connect. It's more the mind that gets in the way of like, it's not possible for me. That's where we can block ourselves. I don't want to do it. It's a whole different topic. But if you do want to do it, in my experience, it'll eventually connect.
Could you feel the presence in here when you were talking?
It dropped.
Yeah. Oh. I was just like looking around the room. I'm like, wow. Yeah. Because you just dropped in with that person, whoever was listening. And so the energy in the room changed.
It just felt like what wanted to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about the Akasha. Sometimes things just want to happen. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, that just is like that tree just wants to do that. Like you just kind of know.
Was there ever a part of you that, like, when you started stepping into this to be like a career piece versus, were there a fear around that, or what were those thoughts when you were stepping in it to not just do it for yourself? Because that's different than like being like, hey guys, I'll take you on as a client. What was that like? Thanks guys for tuning in to today's episode. Now, I know that you're as curious as me, like, what else are we going to discuss when it comes to the Akashic Records? And I have to tell you that in part 3, Rita's going to take us through our own internal meditation to access our own Akashic Records. You're not going to want to miss this whole series. This is part 1. Part 2 will be dropped very soon. Go ahead and click in the upper right-hand corner wherever you're listening to this, the follow button, so you do not miss these episodes, because in the next episode, we're going to be talking a little bit more about what to expect if you were to book with an Akashic reader or if you were to do it yourself, and how to really trust this intuition around readings and understanding that you are actually connected to a higher power more than you may even realize right now. So thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and click that follow button. If you want, please rate and review. That always helps. So it means the world to me. And I'll see you on part 2.